years later. And in this movie, we see a young boy called Daniel who is being bullied. And he goes to this old man called Mr. Miyagi to teach him some karate. So Mr. Miyagi is a bit hesitant about the whole situation. But in the end, he says, you know what, come tomorrow. So Daniel shows up so eager, because he wants to learn karate. But Mr. Miyagi gives him some sponges. And he says, wax the car. And there's a lot of cars in the parking lot. So anyway, Mr. Miyagi shows him, goes wax on, wax off. And he tells him to do that to many, many cars. And Daniel gets a bit sloppy and he just starts doing whatever he wants to do. And Mr. Miyagi is like, no, wax on, wax off. And he does this to so many cars, wax on, wax off. He doesn't finish until the sun comes down. The next day he comes back. Daniel is discouraged because he feels like that was just a wasted day. But he's like, okay, today we're going to learn karate. And Mr. Miyagi says, I want you to paint the fence. I want you to paint the fence like this. And Daniel is just like, I came here to learn karate. Why is he asking me to paint the fence? So he starts getting a bit sloppy. He starts doing whatever he wants to do. And Mr. Miyagi goes, no, paint the fence the way I showed you to paint the fence. Daniel is getting a little bit upset. And then he paints the fence, he finishes, he comes the next day, and he's like, today is the day that I'm ready to learn karate. And Mr. Miyagi says, sand the floor. Sand the floor like this. And he shows Daniel how to sand the floor. And this is a huge floor. But he tells Daniel, sand the floor. And he gets so upset about this whole situation because he thought he was going to Mr. Miyagi to learn what? Karate, right? And he didn't come to be a house manager. He came to learn karate. And in his rage, Daniel lets loose on Mr. Miyagi and says, you have to be kidding me. I told you that I came here so that you could teach me karate. And we've not done one thing in relation to karate. I can't believe you basically let me be your houseboy or take care of your house. And out of nowhere, Mr. Miyagi starts throwing punches. And Daniel's son is able to block every single punch that Mr. Miyagi throws his way. And this is just a natural reflex of what he's doing. All those things that Mr. Miyagi was telling me to do was actually not wasted time. Because all this time, Daniel thought he was just being a houseboy. But that wasted time was actually preparation of the actual punches that the master knew were coming. So what am I trying to say to you? Is that the season that you might be going through, whether it was last month, last year, the past 5 or 10 years, and you feel that everything that God has been putting you through has been unnecessary, fruitless, and why in the world would God allow you to go through this? It's not connected to anything purposeful or meaningful. You need to know that you serve a God who loves you and He already knows what is coming. And there's nothing that is wasted of all the training that you've been doing, so that those natural reflexes will put you in a position of victory. When you have gone through all of that, you're able to pass on the training, the encouragement that you thought was wasted time to someone who might be going through something similar. Reach someone through your story. Be an influencer for Christ.
Will you let go?
I trust you, Lord.
Will you stand?
I trust you, Lord.
Against all odds, will you believe what I have said?
I trust you, Lord.
What seems impossible,
I trust someone's life get to an end, and when they had to leave, you said you'd never love again. Oh, but will you trust that I can help you, and I'll never turn away? Will you trust me, child, no matter what may?
What if it hurts?